Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Reaper and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to kind of be doing a smash speed round wrap up thing for all of the books that I have yet to talk about from 2021 because I really just genuinely don't feel like going through and trying to play catch up, so we're not going to. So I have half of the books here now, about half, and we're gonna do half of them now and half of them next video. So, yay. Got my trusty bullet journal here, and I actually wrote out a list of which characters I was gonna do in this one and which ones I was gonna do this one. I tried to like group them together. Shuri. Alright, so for Shuri's board, I used the group book for a couple different months. So I used Slay, which was the group book for the month of February, which is when this one came out, for all of the prompts that it could fit. So explores intersectional feminism, about Black joy, about innovation and creativity, face on the cover, and about women in STEM. So that's what this covered. And then I also used the next group book, The Nature of Witches, for about a character who lost a sibling. And then I used another group book, A Song of Race and Ruin by Roxanne A. Brown, for about a princess. I'm gonna pull up and do like a speed round chat about each book. It has migraine related content, which is not that great. It uses it within the magic system, and I don't really appreciate that as a person who has chronic migraines related to my other medical issues and mental illnesses. I really did not appreciate that personally. That's just not something that I feel like you should make light of or turn into like a tool for your writing. Was not really a fan of that. It's really rooted in African culture, and Christine talks a lot about this, so if you want to hear a little bit more about that element, go watch her videos on it. Themes are loss and grief, fear, sacrifice, and choices. There are some info dumpy parts that I did not like. The music terminology was incorrect that was used in here, which would have been a simple thing to research and do correctly. Character motivations were okay, but they didn't feel super solid in some elements. The last 100 pages is what really knocked this up in my enjoyment. The last 100 pages really just exploded. So for that reason, that like literally the last 100 pages is the reason that I want to continue and read the next book. The last prompt that I did for this was set in Africa. I used Thor's power to lightning strike a prompt to knock that one out. So since we started with Shuri, it only makes sense that we then talk about T'Challa. So for T'Challa, I had, for Afrofuturism, I used Binti, which I listened to via audio through Hoopla. I don't have a ton of thoughts on it because I really just feel like it was really quick. It kind of felt like telling more than showing for like the whole thing because it's so short. I feel like it could have just been expanded into a longer book if you wanted to, you know, have that much stuff happen or have that much stuff be explained. Then you could have just shown it to us and made it a longer book. All in all, I thought it was aight, and I gave it 3 stars. I thought I was planning on continuing with it and using the other books for other boards, but I ended up not doing that, especially because I don't really remember the book that well, and I would have to re-listen to it or reread it, and I don't have all the time I didn't have all the time in the world the rest of the year, so if I do continue with it, it would be like I would reread the first one first. But moving on, I also used A Song of Race and Ruin on this board to complete African Author, Thrust into Power, Family Legacy. I also did a reread for Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This I read originally last year, and I wanted to reread it because I wanted to see if I liked it better, and I did. I think that last year the main reason I didn't like it as much as I wanted to is because I had different expectations for it than what it actually was. I don't know why I expected what I did out of it. I don't know. I just had something in my head that it wasn't, and so I very much shifted my enjoyment aspect when I reread it, and I liked it a lot more. So I ended up bumping it up a whole star. Persepolis 1 and 2, I used it as 2 separate books. So I have the complete bind up though. But I used part 1 and part 2 separately for boss battle reasons. But this, oh my god. This is a memoir. I loved it. I don't like memoirs at all, and I adored this. Graphic novel format is perfect. Like, I wish all memoirs were told in graphic novel form. This is the best memoir I've ever read, and it's actually 5 stars from me, which is shocking. Moving along, we had Paper Girls Volume 5 on here, which Paper Girls in general, every one of them got between 3 and 4 stars from me. I can't remember if Volume 5 was more or less. You can go on my Goodreads and see the details there, but basically I continue with Paper Girls. Oh, Persepolis was for set on a different continent and bilingual / multilingual. And then for Purple on the Cover, that was Paper Girls Volume 5. Moving into, let's see, Doctor Strange and Vision. Now the reason I'm going to talk about both of these boards together is because I actually used Spider-Man's Web 2 boards together reward to actually mix and match the books in between the 2 boards. So I'm going to just kind of do them both together. So first let's talk about The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I used The Midnight Library for on Doctor Strange for a big character arc, has a library, and then for Vision I used it for a reserve of knowledge. I know that this is conflicting to people. I understand why some people can't get behind the whole some people would see it as romanticizing depression and suicide or suicidal attempts or thoughts or actions, but I don't see it as that. Personally, as a person who has lived through depression and I don't know, for me, the way my brain works, this is everything, because it's literally how my brain has been. And like, it's the ending is so beautiful. Like the choice that was made to go like, oh my gosh. Just thinking about it again gets me emotional. Basically, I struggle a lot with choices and it's a very important topic for me. If you make the right choice, if you made a different decision, why you know, what could have happened? Did I do everything wrong? Did I screw up my life? What ifs are big for me. And so getting to like kind of vicariously experience what it would be like to have that opportunity, and recognizing, you know, the truth that that we already know innately, that we shouldn't, you know, worry about the what ifs, and all you can do is live in your life and make it into the life you want it to be. You can't change what happened. You can only change what you're doing now and tomorrow and the next day. And so, Sam, I'm gonna need you to stop whining. He's distracting me. I will never get over this book. It means a lot to me because of some of the elements that tie into me as an individual and that I connect with as a person. Again, I know that it's not going to be for everyone. I get that. I don't have the same criticisms of it personally because of the fact that I feel like it's not romanticizing it at all. If other endings had happened, it would be romanticizing, but because of the ending that actually happened, it's not. That's my view. We're gonna move on. Next we have The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. Oh my god, I love this one so much. It's so cute and beautiful and everything. Oh my god, it suits me so perfectly. Oh, Okay, the main issue that I had with this one is that they're in the middle of the plot. It was kind of formulaic and it wasn't the best in terms of plotting. She didn't really know what to do with it, I think, for part of it. She just didn't know what to do with the plot element. But there was amazing character development and relationship development. The themes were brilliantly woven in. The prose was beautiful. The title was tied in a beautiful way, and I loved that. The world information was woven in comfortably and nicely rather than being info dumpy. There were a few solid plot twists. The family in it was adorable and beautiful, and oh my word, I loved it so much. It's great. Other than the plot issues in the middle, I loved it. It was great. It's so precious. It's like the perfect mix between like a road trip story and like aliens and like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just really good. I actually used Coulson's power to be able to pull this book onto these boards, which means it's a book that I read previously before these boards came out, and then I pulled it in to be able to use here. So I used it for, on Doctor Strange, I just used it for a medical or healthcare professional. On Vision, I used it for an AI or robot, interspecies relationship, non-human main character, and works towards the good of humanity. Moving on, I then have Across the Green Grass Fields by Sean McGuire. This is the latest release, for just a little bit longer anyway, of The Wayward Children. And this one is kind of a completely separate book from the other series, in my opinion, because it follows a character who is not at the school at all. And we're literally just following her while she's in her world. We're not following her anything to do with the school at all. And it really makes no sense at all. I'm assuming that maybe it's going to tie into the next one. Like maybe Reagan is going to be at the other school. Maybe. It's probably the weakest one so far. I think I gave it a 3. Or a 4, maybe a 4, maybe a 3, actually. And the reason I say that is because I've heard people say that like she wrote this as like being like she's a fan of My Little Pony, and she like took the equestrian world. She like wanted to create her own equestrian world because she was like very inspired by that idea, but she wanted to do it like a very different type of equestrian world. I don't see the comparison at all. It makes, like, literally the only comparison is that they're horse-based world with lots of different kinds of magical horse creatures. That's the only comparison. Like, nothing else has any relevance whatsoever to MLP. Unless the character comes up later or this connects to the other ones, I really don't understand why it exists, because at the moment, it's just kind of floating out there on its own. And I don't really, like, appreciate that. Personally, like, I feel like if we had gotten like something else first and then gotten this one, then maybe it would have flowed a little bit better. But like the fact that it's just out on its own without anything to connect to at the moment is not making me very interested in it. So maybe my enjoyment of it would be boosted up later, or maybe I'll appreciate it more later once I've seen this character again. But at the moment, I don't care about it that much. That one just covers good magic system because the whole doorway magic system is so cool. So Paper Girls Volume 3 covered the 3 people on the cover. So there's that for Doctor Strange's board. I'm not going to talk about it at all. Like, we're just going to, you know, move on. I talked about each volume individually in Goodreads, so if you want an in-depth, go there. Okay, so then we have A Brief Chronicle of Another Stupid Heartbreak by Adi Al-Said. This was meh. The main issue that I take with this is that this character has a writing assignment. They have a job to do. Like, writing their article is their job. And she's putting off doing it because she's emotionally upset over her breakup. And she continuously gets extensions that she doesn't deserve. And then she keeps not doing her assignment. Like, just write something. It doesn't have to be. Here's what pisses me off about it. It's because all she has to do is write a column. She doesn't have to write the exact column that she's trying to write right now. She just has to write a freaking column. Like, just write a filler column that'll work for now. Talk about what you're experiencing in your breakup right now. And then talk about how you're gonna, you know, or at least write like an opening column saying, this is what I'm experiencing. I want to explore different things. Write in and tell me if you're open to sharing what you're going through. And then, like, that's literally all she had to freaking do, is open up this column idea of, I want to write about teenagers going through the end of summer, leaving high school, and like how they're dealing with their relationships and stuff. Like, literally just write a piece saying that's what you're gonna write about, and saying, what are you doing? Send me what you're experiencing right now, or what your experience was when you were in high school, whatever. And, you know, if you're interested in talking to me, tell me what's up. And like, I'm just saying, like, there's no reason, literally no reason. There was no excuse for it. And here's the other thing that also pisses me off. There's this cheating attempt, or like infidelity cheating attempt. There was no freaking reason for it. It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary. There was there was a lot of things that pissed me off, but when you add cheating into a story for no reason, or like, someone attempting to cheat and it not even happening, like, why? Why did it even happen? Why did that moment even exist if they didn't even all the way cheat and nothing came out of it? Like, it was pointless. Like, there were a few enjoyable moments and points, and I liked one of the characters in particular, especially from this. But overall, it was garbage, and I gave it 2 stars. A book that I loved, House of Holo by Crystal Sutherland. Oh my god, it's so good. The ending, oh my god, it's there's so much happening. Lala didn't like it. I kind of want to go back and watch her video, her vlog where she was talking about it, and see why. I don't know what it was that she didn't like. I can't remember, but I loved it. Cause like, I mean, Julie loved it too, so it's not just me. I think Jessica loved it. Did Jessica read this? I think she read it and loved it. I don't know. Anyways, I used this on Doctor Strange for a 5-star prediction, and a strange or weird book, and then on Vision for a visually appealing cover. Charles Volume 4 on Vision's board by doing a little MacGyvering. So I did Pietro's power for a power they don't understand, to swap power they don't understand with a book set in the 90s. So I swapped those two from Captain Marvel's board and Vision's board. And then I used Wanda's power to slightly change a prompt. So instead of set in the 90s, it's now set in the 2000s. And then I used Paper Girls Volume 4. A lot of things happened there. I made it happen though. I made it work. Okay, is that everything? Yes, that's everything for those 2 boards. Let's move on. Shang-Chi. I used Hulk's power to smash the bottom row. I used Bucky, one of the Save Bucky rewards to reuse a Ghosts of the Shadow Market. This worked for a character, or an author with a pen name and a platonic friendship. So we're done there. Yay me. That goes up there, actually way up there. I'm not gonna get up there right now. So then we have these Violent Delights covering everything else. So this covers Chinese main character, Asian author, featuring dragons. So yeah, so it's all right. I really wish that we had gotten more of the setting within the text. That would have filled some of the space that was being filled with kind of just fluff that we didn't really need. Yeah. You can watch the live show for more of my thoughts, and my friends' thoughts as well. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it short. So that's it for Shang's board. Now let's move to Sharon. Spoiler alert by Olivia Dade. Alright, this covered a character feels betrayed, a bad fight sequence, underrated heroine. This is phenomenal. Love it. It's the relationship development and the character development is so good. These two characters talk about what's going on, talk about what's bothering them, and they discuss things like setting boundaries and becoming more open about what's not okay for their, between their relationships with their families, actually. Like their parents, they both are talking about and deal with some different things to do with their relationships with their parents. They also, every time there's an issue between the two of them, they talk through it and then they both adjust. She, say he did something that bothered her, she would open up and say what it was, and then he would adjust his, behavior to try not to do that thing again, and she would be open to the fact of knowing that he's not trying to hurt her or upset her, and try to be patient with him on that and be more open about reminding him of that. So it's the open communication that they had between the two of them was so good. Oh my god. Oh, I loved this. It's so good. It's used Hawkeye's power on this. So I reused Ever the Hunted here for a character moving on from a failed romance and a character on the run. The Things She's Seen by Amblin and Ezekiel Melena. I have talked about this previously because I read it for Vaultathon the year in 2020, I think it was. I picked it up on a whim. It's very much a multi-layered story. It can be so many different things. It is a story about genocide in an academic sense. It is very much a story about genocide. In a personal sense, it could be a story about mental illness and mental health struggles and racial challenges and experiences that are harmful. It can also be about grief and loss and moving on and letting go and so many different things. It's really, really phenomenal and I will always love it. And it's 5 stars forever and ever. Amen. It filled the prompts number of 13, a crime that needs to be solved, and a character that's lost in the shadow. On to Peggy! For Peggy, I also had the things she's seen on there for a mystery and inquisitive character. I also used Rhodey's power and reused Days of Blood and Starlight for a confident character, a second chance romance, features espionage, and an element of red on the cover. Nimona, which is for a feminist story, loved it, so good, and I need it on my shelves. I borrowed it through Hoopla and now I really need to own it. I did do a full review on Goodreads if you want to go read it, but I loved it and I want it in my life. It's so cute and so good, and I heart. And then we have the Kindred I read as a graphic novel. I appreciate the importance of the story a lot. I'm not sure how much I loved the experience because it is a very hard book to read. Because it deals with, some very infuriating things. So, it's one of those books that you have to be ready to be pissed off. That's it for Peggy. All right, so for Pepper, These Violent Delights for a Violent Cover. The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars. Then I also read The Forever Summer by Jamie Brenner, which I almost DNF'd. This was an interesting experience. It's very much like a soap opera in book form. So much. It's like the most dramatic book I've ever read. I don't even know what to say. I gave it 3 stars because like at times I was loving how much drama it was. Like it was the right amount, but then there were times that it was overdone and like a little bit overkill. So I couldn't decide how I felt about it. So I gave it 3 stars. So I used this to cover the Adapts to Change, the Power Couple, the Businesswoman, and that's it. Oh, the Mother-in-Law also covered a side character being more competent than the main character. Ant-Man. Okay, so I used the Midnight Library for a book under 300 pages and for someone who is lost. I used Falcon's Power for on your left, so that knocked out magical attire, an animal companion, and a parent-child relationship. And then I used... Bye. Technically, you started it. This is a book told entirely in text messages. It's really cute and I love it, and Margaret needs to read it. I think she would love it. Okay, I think I give this like 4 or 5 stars. It might have been 5 because I really liked it. Okay, so I used it for untraditional story structure, A, N, and T on the cover, and yeah. Then we had a heist. For that, I used the boss battle for Battle Loki, eliminating a prompt to knock that out. Alright, so now let's do the Wasp, which I reused. I did my Battle Stain reused Legendborn for this. Which covered a reunion, a character that's overlooked or overshadowed, something to prove, and controls nature. So there's that. And then we had the things that she's seen for Insect on the cover, Father-Daughter Team. And then I used Black Widow's Power, thanks to Pondering Books, to eliminate, takes a while to get into. Oh, the things she's seen also covered Only Child. My bad. Forgot that. Alright, so there's that. There's the Wasp. I didn't read a single book for it. Now, the reason I used all powers for it is because I was trying to psych you guys out. Me and Brianna were like posting all the things we completed to psych you guys out. So I completed a couple extra boards by just smashing some powers in there. We wanted to psych you guys out by using a bunch of powers all at once. So I completed her board entirely with powers and the group book. So, yeah. Alright, so that is everything I'm going to do for this part. I'm going to do a part 2, wrapping up the rest of the books that I've read this year, with all of the boards that I have yet to discuss, and all of the books that I read that were not on character boards. So, that's it. Don't have anything else to tell you, so thank you guys so much for hanging in with me throughout this. I know it was a bit chaotic and not my usual vibe. I'm gonna plan out a better way to do like discussing my books that I've read recently for the next year, so that it's a little bit less chaotic and stressful for me. I think I'm just gonna minimize the amount of editing that I have to do. Is the main thing that I need to focus on cutting down on, is the editing work. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. Make sure you hit subscribe and notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. I will see you guys very soon with part 2. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
Look for the bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your stress. I mean it, bare necessities. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.